Hey there, I'm Chris from Intro Games at introgames.com. This is a quick look at Bot Battle. For 2 to 4 players, takes about 30 minutes to play for ages 8 and up. It's time for fighting robots. Bot Battle is a fast-paced, strategically driven game of deck construction and deck destruction, where rock, paper, scissors meets the classic game of war. A game has two phases, the building phase and the battle phase. What we have on display here is the building phase. During the building phase, players will construct their deck/robot by drafting the specific pieces they want their robot to have. You'll want to draft a variety of weapons, armor, and move cards, and since you can see what everyone's drafting, the strategy starts early. So in this example, I've set up a draft for a 2-player game. There's number of players plus 1 set up in each row, and basically each person drafts 1 card from each row in turn order. So player 1 might draft the spike, player 2 might draft the aluminum wheel guard, and then we're all done with row 1. We'll then go to row 2, where player 2 might draft a lifter, player 1 might draft some medium wheels, and so on. Okay, so each player drafted 5 cards. This is player 1's stack, this is player 2's stack, and what happens now is you're going to collect cards from the box that match these specific cards drafted. So there are 5 cards in the spike pack, if you will. They have powers of 1, 1, 1, 3, and 4. The medium wheels has 4 copies of the cards, and that's 2, 3, 3, 4, and so on. So you're basically just going to construct your deck with these 5 types of cards from the cards in the box. So with the building phase done, we now go to the battle phase. And the battle phase has this board. It could just be a nice layout or a neoprene mat, whatever. The idea here is that we know who we're targeting. We're always targeting the player to our left and the player to our right. In a 2-player game, both of our cards are going heads up against our opponent. So what I have here is I have the deck that I constructed earlier. I have space for an under chip, which will give some cards an advantage. I have a card or a chip that lets me do direct hit or partial hit. This is flipped like a coin. This chip shows me my status if I'm normal or inverted. And if I have any spinning weapons, this is where I power them up. Every time I play a spinning card, it goes up by 1. And every time it gets reused, it gets reset back down to 0. So during the battle phase, there's a lot of rounds that we're going to play just heads up against our opponents. Each round, you'll draw 5 cards from your deck, and you'll play 2 of them, one against the opponent to your left and one against the opponent to your right. Again, in this 2-player setup, we're going to play both of our cards against our opponent, but it's going to be, this is where the rock, paper, scissors meets war kind of comes into play. As seen on our reference card, move cards with the green wheel beats weapons, the weapon cards beat armor, and the armor beats move cards. Just to break down some of the cards that I drafted in this construction deck example, when I play this lifter card, I'm going to flip this chip right here, the direct hit or partial hit chip. Depending on where it lands, that's how much damage I'll do. If this card wins, then I'm going to flip my opponent, or I'm going to invert them from normal to inverted. And this card also lets me put myself back to normal if I am inverted. The huge wheels will do 3 damage. It'll give me 3 power worth of move. And if I have the under chip here, then that'll be worth 2 more. The aluminum wheel guards will give me 3 armor. It will give me 1 more armor if I have the under chip, and if I am inverted, it'll be worth 1 less power. The under chip starts in the middle of the table, and the first person to flip their opponent collects the under chip. And this chip can go back and forth between players as they flip each other or, kind of gain the advantage. Think of the under chip as the advantage that one player has over another in any given moment of time. As an optional module, you can play with these Bot Battle Tactics cards. Basically, once per round, a new card is revealed, and this gives the person that wins a little extra advantage. So, for example, we might start with the Box Rush. This says win with a move card. And if you win with the move card, your opponent has to destroy 2 cards from their deck. You might get something like get to the side. If you win with a attack card, your opponent has to destroy 3 cards from their deck. This is generally good for you or bad for your opponent when these cards come out, but a new card comes out every round if you're playing with them. Okay, so I can see that my opponent has played their 2 cards, and I'm going to play some huge wheels here and a lifter here. So this card faces off rock, paper, scissors against this card, and this card faces off rock, paper, scissors against this card. We flip them all face up, and we see what happens. I move 3 will defeat my opponent's attack for 2 because move beats attack. I'm going to take their card, and I'm going to score cards from them equal to the difference. So again, my move 3 versus their, let's say they flip the direct hit for 2. So I'm going to get 1 more card from them, and my opponent can choose whether that card comes from their hand or from the top of their deck. What matters is that these cards are now flipped face down. They're basically trashed. They're now points for me, and they're out of play. To resolve the other battle this round, my attack for 3, let's say that it also lands on direct hit, goes against my opponent's armor 5, and even though the number is higher, attack cards beat armor cards. So in the cases where the number on the winning card is lower, all I do is collect my opponent's card. The cards that I played will also be put into my points pile out of play, and you'll only collect those if you win. I would also have collected 2 more cards from my opponent's deck as a result of the box rush. At that point, we'll take all of the cards remaining in our hand, they'll go to our discard pile, and we'll draw 5 more cards to start the next round of battle. The game ends when a player cannot form a hand of 5 cards from their discard pile and their deck combined. The player that did the most points of damage wins. You just count the number of cards in your pile over here. The game ends to combine the fast-paced strategy found in real-world bot battles with some classic mechanics that are intuitive, even to casual players. Each play is different since the draft of parts are different, and what your bots becomes different. Will your bot come out on top? This has been Bot Battle, and I've been Chris Backe from Intro Games. Thanks for watching.